Hello everyone, MFPallytime here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well today. In today's video, we're taking a look at Orcs Must Die 3. That may come as a surprise to some of you, but I am actually a huge Orcs Must Die fan. I played the crap out of Orcs Must Die 1. It was actually one of the first projects I worked for when I worked on when my YouTube was just getting monetized way back in the day. We did guides for Orcs Must Die 2, and somehow Orcs Must Die Unchained went completely under the radar for me. I had no idea that was even a thing. Orcs Must Die 3, however, is not necessarily a new game. It was released on Stadia quite some time ago, and Stadia is not really an option for me. I have a data cap in the year 2021. Can you believe that? I cannot use my internet freely. So because of that, I kind of put the game on the back burner in my mind. But Orcs Must Die 3 has re-released on Steam, I believe it was about a month ago, and I've been playing it a ton in my downtime. So I figured, why don't we revive our Orcs Must Die series and continue to release guides on this game for the hardest difficulty available. There's actually a lot to do in this game. There's the original campaign, which has, I believe, 18 levels listed over here on the side. And for those of you that are astute and observant, you'll notice I have not finished a lot of these on the hardest difficulty. So we're going to be figuring out a lot of this together. There's also a secondary campaign that you're meant to do after the original. There's a scramble mode, which is like a roguelike mode where you pick debuffs and maps and then get randomized buffs throughout the campaign. Super duper fun. We've actually been streaming this on Twitch occasionally very late at night. So I'm not upset if you haven't seen it. There's also an endless mode that I've only played one level on, but I've played it over and over and over again. Don't mind my high score here. I actually almost play this game exclusively in co-op with my friends. But today we are going to start our playthrough of Orcs Must Die 3 on the very first level, so you can see what the game is about a little bit. It has some really campy humor, some pretty cool enemies, and a lot of really fun traps for dispatching orcs. So I hope you guys enjoy the ride. I said I was only going to show you one level. I think I'm actually going to show off two, because the first level, the North Wing, is all about just showing you the bare bones basics of the game, how it's going to work. Hey, there's enemies and you need to kill them. Whereas the second level at least gets a little bit more complicated. So I'll show off like cool weapons, trinkets, some miscellaneous things you can use to kill orcs on the first level, and then on the second one we'll actually start to set up some traps. There is a story in this game, and if you've been following the game's progression, it'll make more sense. But Maximilian was the character you played in Orcs Must Die 1, just to give you an idea of what they're talking about here.
Maximilian is gone. No one knows where he is. He left the Order, he left me, with these children. Born with the ability to use rift magic, Egan had no idea how powerful he was. Kelsey was the most studious novice in the Order, but she lacked control. I had to test their capabilities. A real ogre would have eaten you by now.
Sorry, sorceress.
You will wish for that fate before long.
Think he's ever coming back?
Wow, it's like you're allergic to saying smart stuff.
Come, playtime is over.
This is explaining the UI a little bit. At the top of the screen is the number of basically enemies we can allow through the rift before we lose. Currency down at the bottom left is what we use to spend on traps, and we accumulate that when we kill enemies. And then the loadout bar are the traps that we select for this level before combat begins. You can see the ghosts of orcs letting us know the path that they will take. And again, this is the first level, so it's ridiculously easy. but they are going to be moving from that entrance, and we need to stop them from getting into this rift portal. They're going to be spawning over there. Not that that really matters for us on this level. There are all kinds of ways that you can disrupt the orcs as they're moving to their path. There are traps that you can use. This is all of them, and I'll try to showcase all of these before our playthrough is over. There are a lot of diverse strategies that you can use to really make things work. This game it really rewards you for being creative until you start to chase high scores. Then it's all about combos, but I digress. We're not doing that right now. These are the weapons that we can use. Everything from flasks of poison to giant broadswords to a belt of wind that we can use to push orcs off of a stable area. There's a spin-to-win dwarven hammer. I'm not super familiar with all of these. I kind of stick to what my character does. I'm playing as the sorceress. From the cutscene you just watched, she's the one teaching the two apprentices. And once you hit the higher difficulty, you can just select your character freely. I really like her weapon. Her left click is super duper accurate, and her right click actually mind controls orcs as well. Normally on this level, you wouldn't really be able to pick that many traps, which is, again, why I think I'm just going to show off some fun stuff here. This is one of my favorite traps. It's the TNT barrel. Let me actually look up what it's called, because that's just what I call it. The Boom Barrel Dispenser. What this does is you place it on the wall, and then periodically it will release one of these barrels that you can then shoot to explode. However, if you put this up at a high location, these barrels will spawn and then explode on the ground. So this is becoming our kill box. We want to keep the orcs inside of this kill box. So let's put down these flowers. These flowers, when an enemy gets in range, will shoot off a projectile that dazes them, confuses them for a time, which hopefully will keep them in this area. Other than that, I have a fear jar, a broadsword, which I'm gonna slice and dice enemies with, a ice trinket that can let me freeze enemies in front of me, the wind belt, which hopefully will let me push enemies off the side, and a storm trinket for lots of lightning damage.
No one is more ready.
I would say let's see how this goes, but this is gonna be an absolute pushover.
The door is down!
The orcs are coming! Let's go ahead and get in their face with the broadsword a little bit. I have this upgraded to heal me whenever I kill an enemy, which means we can stack up a little bit of health regen with this weapon. I also have the fear jar, which if an enemy hits me, the orcs will be feared that actually come into contact with my character. That is actually a really fun combo with this setup because you're going to be passively healing while you attack them. If I use the activatable on the fear jar, it will fear anyone that comes into contact with this skull thing and force them to backtrack back down the path where they came from. And that lasts quite a long time. And if you're going for combos, that actually counts as another effect that you're stacking on a character. Let's show off the wind belt this round and put a few archers down here to help protect the flower line. These archers will shoot at anything that comes in within range of them, and they deal some pretty decent damage as well. This is the wind belt. It does use mana every time you use it, but you're able to push the orcs back along the path. Oh, fuck! That's okay, everything's fine. One of the orcs got thrown to the other side. Don't you even worry about it. Our main weapon has a mind control right click, so I'm gonna take these trolls and use them against the orcs that are already in lane so they can fight their own kind. And while they're doing that, let's go ahead and put this storm cloud above them as well for some added lightning damage. Now again, normally you would be using traps a bit more to control this area, but I thought this would be fun. On the highest difficulty, the rounds start very, very, very quickly, meaning we don't have a ton of time to build in between rounds. However, if you were playing on the normal difficulty, just playing through the campaign your first time, you would have time to look at everything around you and kind of plan out what you want to do. All right. Yeah, don't fly too far, okay? Just get in the lava. All right, group up in front of me, boys. Come on. Everyone in the explosive area, let's go. That's what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I wanted. We do have a very large ogre walking our way. I'm gonna go ahead and use the fear jar to get him to turn around before he gets to my archer line. He is trying to charge forward and get to me, but the archer's actually blocking him a little bit there. You guys are getting a little too clumped up for my liking. An armored ogre is just a regular ogre with even more HP, but if I use my Scepter of Domination, my primary weapon, we can mind control him, and because there's no enemies around, take him down fairly easily.
More enemies on the way.
One thing we can do as well is when these barrels fall, they can actually set off chain reactions with more barrels on the ground. So we could start to set up an even bigger explosive area. And it combos really, really well. That's such a fun trap. Looks like we have some trolls moving up now. Trolls actually regenerate HP when they're not being attacked, so it is important to keep damage on them as often as possible. Also, we're starting to get some null grenaders. These guys specifically target either me or my archers. They're basically player hunters, whereas most other enemies in the game are moving directly to the rift to try to just leave and get through the portal. Let's create a little bit more space over here. If anyone walks up, they're coming into a lightning storm, and we will try to hold the line one last time.
Winning is something I have grown.
And again, you could have set up an easy kill box with traps here. That would have been no problem. But that is the way that we did it. You can look at the stats after the match to see our breakdown. We were 9 seconds over par, so we did not get this skull. Normally, I would go back and play this again to get that skull. What are the skulls used for? They're actually used for upgrading your towers. So this blade staff, for instance, I need 5 skulls to get its final upgrade. And then if I did 20,000 damage with this, I would be able to pick kind of a specialization for the blade staff. You can actually customize your build a ton based on these customizations. For instance, the brimstone here, which is like a fire trap that enemies walk over, we have this set to have a reduced cooldown so it can deal damage more often. But if we wanted to supplement our kit with arcane damage, we can actually turn the fire damage to arcane for a different effect. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Each and every single trap that you see here has its own customizations that you can get as well. For instance, the archers that we were using, they could deal fire damage with their arrows, but we actually set them up to heal over time. So if they do take damage from those gnolls or any kind of explosion, they'll slowly get back up to full health. Now, that was just dicking around. Let's get in for the next level and set up some real traps this time. Okay, second level is the Great Room. We have 2 entrances that the orcs are going to be plowing through this time. One on the top left side of the map and the other on the top right. By looking at the ghosts, we know that they're only coming from the top left location this round. Go ahead and choose some traps. Because it's our first time showing off the majority of these traps, I am going to go over them one by one really fast. We have the barricade. Mine are upgraded right now to be a double wide at a reduced cost. However, they take up more space by default. This is really good on this level because eventually we can make it so there's only one block that the enemies can walk through. We also have Brimstone, deals fire damage whenever an enemy walks over this. It will also instantly kill sappers, which are an enemy that can target your barricades, but it looks like this level does not have any sappers. We have a tar trap. If an enemy walks into this, they will be slowed, meaning they can stay in our kill box even longer. We have some really powerful lasers for our ceiling trap. These just deal damage all of the time. Really, really good for multipliers as well if you are chasing high scores. I have a poison sprayer. This is by default an ice sprayer, but this thing will pivot around and actually auto target enemies and hit them with acid, dealing damage when they walk in range. I have the dart spitter, modified to deal ice damage because it'll freeze our enemies in our kill box, keep them in there even longer. We have the flowers from the last level. These shoot out that projectile that dazes enemies, keeping them in the trap even longer. The main source of our damage is actually going to be this buzzsaw trap. Let me make sure that's what it's called. Saw blade launcher is what it's called. This is a really interesting trap. It shoots a projectile, and you can see the preview of where it's going to go. This, by itself, not that impressive. However, there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do with this trap if everything lines up correctly. And this is such a phenomenal kill box to use it on. You can set these up vertically so they bounce off the ceiling and the floor and travel the full length of this room. You can also do some really fun strategies where you set these horizontally, and you see the path that it's taking now. It kind of heads out there and then doesn't do us any good. However, if we set up barricades next to this,
Always fun.
look what happens instead. We can have it ricochet in a particular area. We're going to utilize both of those strategies here today. And then last but definitely not least, I have the butterfly box modified to have arcane damage. If an enemy walks into this blue area, they're going to be attacked by wonderful butterflies and become confused for a small period of time. So, round one only has enemies coming out of the left side. Let's go ahead and set up a barricade here. We're then going to set up a brimstone at the entrance, a tar here, and a ceiling laser. And the idea is that we want multipliers on our traps. So this is 1 trap, 2 trap, 3 traps, and then hopefully I kill them before they get too much further. This is round 1, so our combos may not be that great here, but let's see how it goes.
Okay, ready.
Also, we could just walk up to the door to kill the enemies immediately. I'm going to wait for them to come out here. I am using the Staff of Domination, so I can mind control enemies here and try to keep them in our little kill area a little bit longer. And remember, because this is the hardest difficulty, we're going to need to sell off these traps pretty quick in between rounds to really modify what we are going for. So I'm specifically trying to hit headshots here. If a target gets past the lasers, we're going to mind control them to keep them still and try to kill as many of our adversaries right here as possible. With the ogre moving up, we're going to mind control him in the lasers. And that is round 1 completed. Sell, 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 sell. Extend the barricade out 1 round. We're going to put a brimstone here and a saw blade here. There is a null coming for us right now. Here's the mind control, keeping him a little docile. I was hoping to get him in my main attack area, but that didn't work out. Let's place tar and lasers above the track. And now this is our kill box where we're going to try to do the same thing. Notice those ×8 multipliers in here. Super duper valuable for our score. And again, if anyone gets past the kill box, ideally I mind control them to keep everyone interested there. I'm going to be backing up to our rift because I took some damage and I need to heal. No need to sell anything this time. This is looking just fine. We're going to set up another barricade system here to keep the enemies going down this path. Actually, this needs to be replaced, but not the biggest deal in the world. Let's set down another tar. And now, this round, round 3, we have enemies coming from both doors at the same time. But our defenses are more than capable of dealing with this aggression. Probably at the beginning of next round, we won't have to really do too much to keep this all under control. And if I was going for an even higher score, I think I would delay this barricade line a little bit and just get more traps in here for an even higher multiplier. As the ogre approaches, I use the Staff of Domination to mind control him, and these last few orcs should be no problem at all. Now we're going to measure this out. We need to leave a space for the laser, half space, half space. This is where my freezing darts are going to go. Let's go ahead and put a flower, 1, 2, right here. That flower will send out that projectile to keep the enemies in the kill box even longer. Normally in co-op, I normally run single barricades because my friend runs double barricades. So this is a little different than what I normally do. But I think this is totally fine still. We're just going to set up this barricade to run long ways down this hallway. As soon as I have the money, we're going to turn around and spend it on another saw blade on this back wall. And we're getting ×10 combos in here sometimes. And a lot of the work has kind of been done already. I'm not going to need to do too much more in here. Trying to step ahead to get that money that's on the ground. We're going to use that money immediately on a poison sprayer, which I'm going to put right here and face it towards the entrance. We now have 2,000 gold to mess around with, so let's put another flower down. Let's put another one of these on the wall. And then over here, we're going to place one of those butterfly boxes. As the enemies come in, even though this is partially obstructed by the barricade, it's still going to attack these enemies and increase our multiplier even more. Speaking of which, let's get another laser trap in here to increase our DPS, as we slowly but surely are collecting money off of these guys. And Ogre's pushing in on the left side. This is the final wave, so I need to make sure I get this free skull that got dropped on the ground. Might control the Ogre as soon as he enters the area. Let's put another brimstone down over here. Ooh, two of them right together. Let's mind control both of them. Gonna be a little difficult to get headshots in there, but luckily for us, the traps are doing most of the work for us anyway.
How powerful I can be.
And that is going to
I
be
believe the kids
a
would
super
call
duper
it a dub.
easy clear. This is the strategy we used on Endless. We just scaled it up even more. I think the leaderboard for Endless got reset recently because like we were in the top 20 for our score multipliers. We do get a perfect score on this level. I'm not too surprised. Let's go ahead and I want to check our leaderboard for this. 728,000. Probably not super high. There are some cheaters on the leaderboard, and I think that's why they reset them every now and then. With that score, literally placed number 42 in the world. Let's go. And it's just that easy. And like I said, I think if I, instead of building those second barricades, just built the extra traps to get the multiplier going a little bit more. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna go do it real fast. New high score of 949,000. Where's that put us? 18. 18. Look at that. Anyway, obviously, if I'm sharing this strategy, more people are going to know how to get high scores on this level, but that's okay. That's not what this is about. I'm just here to help. I hope you guys enjoyed our first look at Orcs Must Die 3. If you did, please, please, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button on the way out. I don't particularly expect this series to do very well views-wise. Every now and then, I just have to do a series for me. You know what I mean? And that's what this is. I love this game so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll be back again soon with the next level. Take care. See you again next time.